From a top-secret location, it's the spies who love me, bringing together MeTV's top super spies to fight evil at a memorable moment's notice. They're daring.
That's right.
Brave.
Now what are we gonna do?
The best we can.
Suave.
Does that apply to me, Oscar?
Possibly.
And smart.
The old finger in the gun trick.
Maxwell Smart.
MeTV Fresno, channel 43.6 and Xfinity 187.
Hi, I'm John Malos. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Friday. It's the 100th anniversary of the Armenian Genocide. We'll show you video from the unveiling of that monument at Fresno State that took place last night. They had 4,000 strong on hand. We'll have some special guests here in the studio today. 436 MeTV, option 11. Back in a moment. Welcome back to the program here on a Friday morning on April 24th. Of course, 2015 marks the 100th anniversary of the Armenian Genocide. And on my lapel, you can barely see it. It's right there. This is the international symbol that the Armenian Genocide took place between 1915 and 1919. And many of us around the world honoring those victims, 1.5 million who lost their lives. Last night, they unveiled the monument at Fresno State. This is the front page of the Fresno Bee. We're going to be talking about this throughout the program today, and you're welcome to call in. Quick reminder, you're watching us live on Comcast, channel 187, 43.6, 13.1, and the replays come later in the day. You might want to set your VCR, or, hey, who has a VCR these days, right? Anyway, you can set your machine and record it. 2 o'clock, 13.6, 8 o'clock tonight on 4.6 Biz TV. The Twitter account, of course, is at John Malos. MeTV. Now, all weekend long here at Ventura Broadcasting, you might want to keep your set tuned in to 31.7 because we have 3 specials that we're going to be showing throughout the entire weekend, starting tomorrow and then on Sunday on the Ventura Broadcasting Television Network. It's 31.7. That would be over the air with a digital antenna, and if you don't have one, you can come here to Ventura TV. We have plenty to choose from. One of the programs is hosted by Mark Sheeran. He is the owner of Ventura TV, the owner of Ventura Broadcasting, and this is a 1-hour broadcast that deals with the canonization of the Armenian saints, meaning that every victim of the Armenian Genocide has been canonized as a saint. That's 1.5 million strong, my friends. Here is a clip, a preview of what you'll see in that show hosted by our own Mark Sheeran.
Welcome to Ganter, a special TV series on the faith and traditions of the Armenian Apostolic Church. We encourage you all to watch, listen, and learn about the rich heritage of the Armenian Apostolic Church and the gospel of Jesus Christ that was brought to our fatherland, Armenia, by the apostles St. Thaddeus and St. Bartholomew. Some 300 years later, at the beginning of the 4th century, the doctrines and teachings of our church were formalized by St. Gregory the Enlightener. For Armenians, he's considered the 13th apostle of Christ, as he was the chief evangelizer of the Armenian nation. Hence the name of our program, Ganter, or Lantern, which symbolizes our living faith in Jesus Christ, he who is in fact light of light himself. We read in the Gospel of John, "I am the light of the world. He who follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." An oil-burning lantern hangs above the main altar in most Armenian churches. In Armenian, we call it Lusavorchi Gantera, the illuminator's lantern, referring to St. Gregory, our patron saint. Some people refer to the lantern as Anmar Ganter, or the inextinguishable lantern. We hope you enjoy this series as it bolsters your Christian faith and enlightens you on the teachings and traditions and doctrines of the one holy apostolic Church of Armenia.
An absolutely terrific series that you won't want to miss this coming weekend, starting on Saturday on the Ventura Broadcasting Network. And there is a second program and a third that I want to talk about. We're going to roll the videotape. We'll look at some of the opens that will take place here. The second program, which airs on 31.7, deals with the actual ceremony that took place in the country of Armenia, the canonization of those Armenian saints, the 1.5 million strong, all the victims, every single one of them that died, that were slaughtered during the Armenian Genocide, 1915 to 1919. The third program that airs on 31.7 this coming weekend deals with the genocide itself. And as I mentioned, there were so many that were slaughtered for no good reason. Even this country does not recognize the Armenian genocide, and certainly Turkey does not. And so this is part of the program that you will see here this weekend on 31.7, part of the Ventura Broadcasting family. You can catch that over the air with a digital antenna. Live in our studio right now is Sergio Laporta. He is a professor of Armenian studies at Fresno State, and he is here to take your phone calls. He is here to talk about the unveiling last night, front page of the Fresno Bee today. He's here to talk about the construction of the monument, the genocide itself, and also he might even have a comment or two about some of the programs that you'll see on 31.7 this coming weekend. We're back with your phone calls and all of our guests. We've got many guests here on the program today, so stay tuned. We're back in a moment.
We need help to find this missing child. April Andrews went missing when she was 15 years old. She was last seen in Pea Ridge, Arkansas in November of 2006. This is what we believe she looks like today at 23. If you have any information, please call the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-THE-LOST. That's 1-800-843-5678. Please help bring April Andrews home.
Back here on the program, and in case you missed the Fresno Bee, if you want to go out and purchase the Bee, if you don't get it at home, here it is right here. It's the front page. It's the unveiling of that monument that took place last night. Very colorful picture here. Sergio Laporta is here, professor at Fresno State, Armenian Studies. You've been here before. Haven't been here in a while, but thanks for being here on this 100th anniversary.
Glad to be back, John. Thank you.
Hey, I appreciate it. You know, right off the top here, let's roll the videotape from last night, the unveiling of that monument, and courtesy of the Fresno Bee, a very colorful and very insightful ceremony as well. And so this took place last night. This is the monument right here. Later in the clip here, you will see the unveiling. What'd you make? How was the ceremony? What'd you make of it?
Oh, well, the ceremony was absolutely wonderful. I mean, it took a long amount of planning, but the ceremony was very meaningful with comments from community leaders outside of the Armenian community, as well as a history of the Armenian provinces and of the genocide itself. So we were very grateful for the dignitaries who showed up, and of course to President Castro for all the support he has shown to the monument.
Joseph Castro. What does this monument mean to the Armenians, not only in the Central Valley, but this monument, what does it represent for those here in California, maybe throughout the country?
Well, I think first of all, this is the first monument of this size commemorating the genocide on any university campus in the United States. And so I think this is a significant event. And it means that the Armenians' contribution to the United States, and in particular to the Central Valley, where they've been such an important part of the community, is being recognized as well. And to see the outpouring of support, not just from the Armenians in the valley, but from all different types of people from across the political spectrum and from the various communities in the valley, to see that support, I think, made Armenians really feel a part of something greater.
Go ahead, caller. You're on the air. Quickly.
Yes, I'd just like to ask, why does not Israel doesn't acknowledge the Armenian genocide whatsoever?
That's not completely true. The president of Israel just the other day did recognize it, and he said, if we don't stand with the Armenians, who will stand with us? And that the phrase "never again," those words have to mean something, and only if we recognize the Armenian genocide will that be the case. Now, it's true that the Knesset, the Parliament of Israel, hasn't officially recognized it, but on the individual level and from the role of the presidency, it has been recognized.
Great call. Thank you very much for that call today. Let's roll the construction of the monument, because this is a work of art. It really is a meaningful object that stands so tall. How big is this monument?
It's 32 feet across, approximately, and if you look at the two pillars, the one on the right, the one on the left, if you're facing it, is 19 feet high, and the one on the right is 15 feet high. So the actual date, 1915, is embodied in the monument itself.
How long did it take to build?
Well, the planning has been a year and a half, and we, as a committee, went back and forth with the architects, Paul Halajan's architects, and they did a wonderful job of turning our vision into a real work of art. The actual construction started in January, and the contractors, Fortune Ratliff, did a great job in making sure that everything got done on time, and we're very happy with the process, and we think it's a beautiful testament as well as a meaningful testament.
Yeah, and you know, this is the early stages of construction here. And it's kind of interesting to see it in that stage, and then look at it last night as to see the final product.
Yeah, I've been watching it every day as it's been being built, and people coming by and asking, "Is it going to be finished on time? Is it going to be finished on time?" And yes, it was, and we're very happy with the process, and we'd like to give full credit to both the architects and the contractors for getting it done.
All right, now I want to warn our viewers, the next piece of videotape that we're going to roll is going to be very graphic in nature, because we're talking about the genocide. We're talking about the slaughter of many millions of people here. The genocide took place between 1915 and 1919. Just go ahead and roll the tape, and we'll talk to Sergio here Laporta, the professor of Armenian Studies out at Fresno State. Let me ask you just point blank. Why doesn't Turkey recognize the genocide?
Well, I think there are three main reasons why they don't want to recognize the genocide. One, it's not an easy thing to accept that one's grandparents and the founders of the country could have done something this horrific. It's just psychologically, it's very difficult to come to that point. Secondly, if you term it genocide, then the whole issue of reparations immediately kicks into place, and they don't want to enter into that discussion at all. So I would say the second point would be the fear of reparations. And third, and this in some ways is the most important, is that in order to recognize the genocide, they would be admitting to their population that the government has been lying to it for the past 90 years. And that would create a very different level of civic discourse within the Republic of Turkey. And that's why many Turkish intellectuals that have, such as Taner Akçam, that have accepted the genocide and called it a genocide, realize that this is not just about genocide recognition, it's also about changing the nature of civic and civil discourse within the Republic of Turkey. Now, I believe, and they believe, that if Turkey does do this, it will become a stronger and a better country. But it will be a painful process.
Right, and our country doesn't recognize it. Is it too easy to say that it's political? Is it much more than that?
I think it is much more than that, because unfortunately, I mean, obviously the overwhelming reason is political. Some of it has to do with lobbying efforts and politicians receiving, certain compensation for towing certain lines. But also we have a policy of denying our own role in the Armenian genocide, which was a positive one. In the aftermath of the genocide, the United States of America raised over $113 million, the equivalent of $1.5 billion today. That's the largest amount of money ever raised for a relief effort to this day.
Yeah.
And it was also the first international relief effort. Babe Ruth auctioned off his baseball bat in support of Armenians, and also the child actor Jackie Coogan went out to help orphans of the Armenian genocide. But the shame is none of us learn about this in school. I did not learn about this in high school. I'm sure you didn't learn about it growing up in school. And we deny our own history in helping Armenians afterwards, along with the lack of recognition of the genocide. So that's what, as an American citizen, really annoys me.
Roll a videotape. Pope Francis, I consider him a trailblazer. Incredible. At some point, you knew that this was coming almost, because he invited the leaders of the Armenian Church to the Vatican some 3 weeks ago. He announced basically that the Armenian genocide was the first genocide of the 20th century. Here, our government doesn't recognize it, yet the Pope coming out and saying, you know what, it happened. let's just come out and say it happened.
Yeah, no, very powerful statement. Pope John Paul II had used the word genocide in reference to the events of 1915, so it wasn't a break from Catholic from the Catholic position at all. But this was a very powerful statement made at St. Peter's, made in front of politicians and ecclesiastical leaders. Definitely, he changed the conversation, I think, around the world. And when we look back upon this year, I think years from now, we'll see the change in momentum and the movement heading in the right direction following the Pope's statement. So it was a statement that was well received by the Armenian community around the world, one that gave them hope. And he does this at great risk. Not only to himself, but to Christians living today in the Middle East. He realizes that the Republic of Turkey is needed to get them aid, and yet he said that if he doesn't recognize this, that's not going to stop that evil from happening. The only way that we can stop the evil that's happening today is by recognizing what's happened in the past. And so, I mean, not that my credit means anything, but obviously full credit to the Pope on this point.
Yeah, and are Armenians, I read somewhere that there are thousands of Armenians right now that are on the verge of being kicked out of Turkey. Is that true?
Well, there are Armenians from the Republic of Armenia who work as guest workers in the Republic of Turkey. And the Republic of Turkey has threatened to send them out and to kick them out of the country, yes, to return them to the Republic of Armenia.
Has that happened yet? Or?
Not that I know of. I have not been informed. On what level. They're estimated to be about 100,000 Armenian guest workers in the Republic of Turkey.
And that would be a bad move on Turkey's part because...
Well, I think it would garner very negative press for them, but I think the biggest damage would be to those individuals and also to the Republic of Armenia that would have to reabsorb 100,000 workers again. And so Turkey realizes that this is a form of punishment that they can inflict on innocent people once again.
Right. I know that the flag-raising ceremony takes place at City Hall. As a matter of fact, I think it's taking place now during our show, is it not? So you're going to run over there, right?
Yeah, I'm going to run over there, and then we're going to run over to the university as the Armenian Students Organization has their commemorative event at noon in front of the new monument.
All right. Sergio Laporta, the professor of Armenian Studies at Fresno State, we thank you for your time.
Thank you, John. Great to see you again.
It's always good to see you. You're welcome here anytime.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Enjoy the rest of your day and your weekend. Too. We're back with more of our show, the 100th anniversary of the Armenian Genocide. We got more guests coming your way. 436-MeTV, option 11. We're back in a moment.
Is taking care of laundry taking too much of your time? Have you become a missing mom? With a new fast, efficient washer and dryer from Ventura TV Video Appliance, you'll spend more of your day the way you want. Save now on Frigidaire's Advanced Affinity Laundry Pair. Let Frigidaire save you energy, water, and time. Don't spend your life on laundry. Upgrade today at Ventura TV Video Appliance and save.
Attention all units. We have reports of 2 motorcycle cops protecting California's highway.
That's for us, good buddy.
The Men of Chips are on MeTV.
Hi, I'm John Baker. I'm John Baker. He's Officer Baker.
He's the blonde one.
Hi there! Officer Poncherello, ma'am.
Frank Poncherello.
Oh, I'm Frank Poncherello.
And he's the one who's Eric Estrada.
There's no way I wouldn't remember a name like that.
Catch the blonde one and the one who's Eric Estrada on
now
Chips.
on MeTV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
Hello, I'm John Walsh. We need your help to capture this fugitive. Julio Cesar Guevara Mejia is wanted by the FBI in Sacramento for the attempted murder of a 19-year-old female in November of 2007. Police say he lured the young woman to a hotel room where he shot her 3 times in the chest. He could be in Palm Springs, California or Houston, Texas. Contact the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI if you have any information.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Frigidaire Gallery appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Time for that upgrade to an Energy Star qualified French door Frigidaire Gallery refrigerator. Quality appliances for the way you live. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise.
Tune in to Heartland for the best in true country music. Relive vintage specials, one-of-a-kind concerts, and country music's earliest videos. Heartland is the heart of country. The only place where you can find country music, country stars, and country lifestyles 24/7. Heartland, the heart of country.
Now on channel 13.2.
Back here on the program with the 100th anniversary of the Armenian Genocide. You're more than welcome to call in and ask any questions that you want to of our guests. 436-ME-TV option 11. Our next guest here on Connect with Me is Eileen Ohanian, a retired teacher. And welcome to the program here today.
You.
I know you could be at the flag raising ceremony. You chose
yes,
to be here with us and our viewers. And you're welcome to call in, 436-ME-TV option 11. And we heard Sergio Laporta just a few minutes ago say that, you know, Babe Ruth auctioned off one of his bats for, you know, for the genocide people. I mean, and so we never read about that in school. So I want to talk to you today about, you know, entering the Armenian genocide and that conversation into the curriculum in schools around not only California but around the country. And you're involved in that, right?
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that, Eileen.
Well, when Governor Brown signed the Assembly Bill 1915 last year, it prompted an amendment to our Code of Education and to our standards in California. What it did was it mandated the teaching of man's inhumanity to man. That was with Article 51220 and 51226, in which they specifically mentioned the teaching of the Armenian genocide in all public. They mandated it in all public schools in California. And so our committee, that was a subcommittee of the Armenian Commemorative Committee of Fresno, which was responsible for the monument, etc., we decided that we would go to and visit every district around in the valley. And so we started with Fresno Unified. We researched materials because my being a former teacher, if I were told this year to teach the Armenian genocide to world history classes and social science classes, I wouldn't know where to begin because I wasn't trained to do this. So we decided that we have to research this and take it to the school districts. And so we did. We found a great source of information, teaching guides, steps, realia for the teachers. We took them to the districts. The districts embraced us. I mean, Fresno Unified has done everything and used our materials and ordered it for the teachers. This is one of the materials that we recommended. It's a very in-depth guide and reference binder for teachers. It shows them step by step how to approach this and how to present age-appropriate information, because you can't teach a social science student 7th grade into the world history classes. So
we got a call here real quick. I'll take this call, Eileen.
Okay.
Good morning. You're on Connect with Me. And your question?
I'm just wondering why in schools they don't teach about the Armenian genocide.
Well, that's what they're doing this year. With the passing of Assembly Bill 1915, Fresno Unified. In fact, we were just at Fresno High last week teaching and exploring the genocide with the students. They were so receptive. They loved it. You could hear a pin drop when we introduced the subject. And we've also, our main goal is to educate, because through education, maybe, possibly, this will not be replicated. This will not be continued if people are more aware of the repercussions and the destruction of genocide. Fresno Unified has purchased the binders for the teachers. Central Unified is completely digitized. They have tablets for kindergarten through high school, and they can access any information. The teachers can download this entire binder if they need it. Fowler is on board with us. Clovis has done the same thing.
So the question is, are they teaching it now?
Yes, they're teaching it now.
Which districts?
The Fowler, Fresno Unified, Clovis, and Central.
They're all teaching it now.
They're all well,
at the high school level?
Yeah, and social sciences starting in 7th grade. However, the mandate says that they should all be taught, that this should be taught, slavery, Holocaust, and the Armenian genocide and atrocities of the Ottoman Empire should be taught in world history classes, grade 10. And that's where we went last week, and we were guest speakers there. And it should be taught in social science classes. So the teachers can really they have some flexibility there when they want to introduce it. But the amendment to the education code, along with the standards, indicate that it should be taught in the second quarter in world history classes.
I was just going to say, I find it amazing that our country doesn't recognize the genocide, and yet we're going to be teaching it in our schools. Now, is this throughout the state of California that this is happening?
Yes.
Not just here in the Central Valley?
No.
This is a
school.
state bill, 1915, that mandates the teaching of the genocide in schools throughout California?
And in Glendale, they've closed all the schools on this day today.
They did?
Yes.
Why didn't they do that here in Fresno?
Well, you know what? We didn't ask them to do that. When we've been working with the districts for about a year and a half, almost 2 years now, and to get release time for the teachers is difficult.
It's difficult,
and so
I understand.
we're going to do that in Fresno Unified in August, and the teachers will.
All right. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Yeah, I'd like to direct a question to her is, what is her goal as far as the teachings and you know, for us to understand more of what happened?
Well, as I said, we've given these binders to the administration in the schools, and they have bought them for the teachers so the teachers can be more educated and more informed. And so hopefully the conduit to the students will be the teachers. And our personal goal is to expose every district. We'll travel to your district. We will give workshops to the teachers. We will go into the classrooms. We're here to help.
Yeah. That's good. Hey, Eileen Ohanian is here. She's a retired teacher and backing that state mandate, 1915, and it's the Assembly bill. It mandates that the Armenian genocide be taught throughout every school district in the state of California. 436-ME-TV, option 11. Hey, do you have any questions? Do you have any comments? You can call in. We're back on this 100th anniversary of the genocide in a moment.
The Ballad of Andy and Barney. Andy and Barney were lawmen, bravest you ever did see. Warned every crook in the record book to stay out of Mayberry. They were the law.
Yes, they were the law, and they didn't know fear.
The Andy Griffith Show.
I guess to sum it up, you could say there's 3 reasons why there's so little crime in Mayberry. There's Andy, and there's me, and baby makes 3.
Now on MeTV Fresno.
Euronews, most watched news channel in Europe.
I know what you may think, that it is really, if it is the fact, if it's so ingrained in Turkish identity, it is very difficult that Turkey acknowledges the Armenian genocide. But this is not the entire truth. Turkey is changing. There is a growing civil society in Turkey. There is another Turkey that is expanding and maturing since 2007. Since the assassination of my dear friend, journalist Hrant Dink in Istanbul, tens of thousands of people have poured into the streets and started to commemorate the Armenian genocide. This year, there will be hundreds of diaspora Armenians joining them in the public commemoration in Istanbul and in other cities. The growing civil society in Turkey knows that without coming to terms with history, one cannot build a democratic future in Turkey. 100 years of forgetting cannot produce democracy, just the opposite. Their failure to acknowledge the legacy of Armenian genocide is one of the crucial reasons why Turkey has a lot of deficits in democracy and has had difficulty creating a society that respects human rights. Justice for genocide, justice for Armenians has become an inextricable part of the struggle for Turkey's democracy. The denialist facade is cracking, and once the crack starts, it will be hard, if not impossible, to stop the process. We can all play a role in toppling the denialist belief structure. The United States government's position is crucial here. We should pressure the American government. They should stop supporting a denialist regime.
All right, that was Taner Akçam, a professor and an author. He is of Turkish descent. He is a Turkish intellectual, and he was speaking at a forum that took place at the Saroyan Theater on March the 18th, and he was one of several speakers on hand that day talking about the Armenian genocide and how important it is to him and how the fact that he recognizes it and his government doesn't. The Turkish government at this point does not recognize it. Eileen Ohanian is here, a retired teacher, talking about the curriculum. We do have a call, but caller, hang on. How is this curriculum being received by those school districts like Fresno Unified and Central?
What we hear from the administrators is it's very well received. For instance, the schools in Fresno, there is a tulip that was discovered by Monsieur Manasjian, and that tulip is a symbol of the diaspora, the symbol of growth and rebirth. And so the schools, even the art classes, we're trying to get interdisciplinary activities for them, like combine the art classes with the English class. Let the English classes read about the genocide and let them compare what they know with the history classes. And so the art classes are making this Manasjian tulip, which grew in the highlands of Armenia, and it doesn't grow anymore there. It only grows in captivity. And so we're trying to do interdisciplinary activities.
So it's being well received at this point?
Yeah, very well received.
Right. Caller, go ahead, quickly.
Hello, good morning, John, and thank you for doing this show. It's an important show as an Armenian American here in Fresno. And Eileen, thank you for your efforts and the committee's efforts for trying to get this in our school districts. My hat's off to both of you. I have two questions. Regarding the curriculum that's being introduced or being taught in the schools here, are they also bringing up the fact that the U.S. is denied? Is that part of the teaching that, despite all of this, that the U.S. government still denies the Turkish government?
Yes.
Is that part of the curriculum?
That's part of the curriculum. And also we're discussing why. Why is it? And as Professor Laporta stated, a lot of it is reparations. A lot of it is they're going to have to pay. This is for Turkey, but we don't know the real reason why the United States is refusing to call it a genocide. We don't know. We're just assuming that it's because of the strategic bases in Turkey. They don't want to lose those. Also, a lot of the politicians now are pushing for President Obama to call it a genocide. So this will be in our future too.
Right. Well, listen, we're out of time. We have several guests here today, but I appreciate you coming on and talking about. And I do want to hold that binder up just for a moment. So careful, watch that microphone there. And Eileen, this is the binder that you are circulating. Let's take that tight shot there so we can see it. This is the binder that you're circulating throughout the entire state of California?
No, just in the districts that we've contacted. In fact, the Fresno High teacher that invited us as guests to discuss with her students, she had been using this. We were so happy to hear that teachers are using it, and they have wonderful programs in the school now, and they're linking it. For instance, in Central Unified, they're linking it to the genocides that are happening today with ISIS and with Darfur and with Rwanda before. I mean...
And I just want to read the title here real quick before we go. It says, Human Rights and Genocide, a case study of the first modern genocide of the 20th century. And I agree with you. Slavery, the Armenian genocide, and the Holocaust should all be taught in schools.
Absolutely. Yeah. And genocide is a new word to students. Yeah. I mean, and now that they're aware of it, now they can watch the news, they can go to various exhibits, and they'll know. They have now a relationship with that word.
Thank you very much, Eileen.
Thank you for asking us.
Thank you very much. All right, we're going to continue our program here. Our thanks to Eileen Ohanian, a retired teacher trying to get this out to the entire state of California. It eventually will get there to every school, the Armenian genocide. The 100th anniversary show here continues on Connect with Me in just a moment.
Retro TV, your home for classic television. The greatest shows in history are here for you to enjoy. Join Cosby and Colt as secret agent men in I Spy. Ride along the Ponderosa with the Cartwrights in Bonanza. Hit the beat with Joe Friday in Dragnet. And that's not all. Retro TV offers endless fun and excitement for the whole family to enjoy. Retro TV, the best in classic television.
You can find Retro TV on over-the-air channel 13.4.
Hello, I'm John Walsh. We need your help to capture this fugitive. Alvaro Chavez is wanted by the FBI in Chicago for selling cocaine. A member of the violent street gang, the Almighty Latin Kings Nation, he has a tattoo of a woman and his name on his right arm. He could be hiding out in California, Illinois, or Mexico. If you know where he is, call 312-421-6700.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the KitchenAid appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Save big with KitchenAid. Right now, get up to a $1,000 prepaid MasterCard when you purchase select KitchenAid appliances. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
We need help to find this missing child. Hallie Cummings was 7 when she went missing. She was last seen in Satsuma, Florida in February of 2009. This is what we believe she looks like today at age 11. If you have any information, please call the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-THE-LOST. That's 1-800-843-5678. Please help bring Hallie Cummings home.
It's almost time.
Now we'll find out once and for all about Clark Kent and Superman.
Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a TV show.
Yes, but who is he? What's his name?
He's Superman.
Golly, Clark, won't that be wonderful seeing Superman?
Fighting a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and television the Me TV way.
No one can do the things that Superman does.
The Adventures of Superman.
Now on Me TV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
We must affirm that we will never forget. If we forget, we are guilty, we are accomplices. Now, after the Holocaust, we Jews experienced a kind of redemption. There was a court of justice, there was punishment, there was compensation. A new state, Israel, was created. There was Steven Spielberg and his powerful movie, of course, that we're all familiar with, Schindler's List. And practically all of this has been denied to the Armenians despite the crime trials, the war crime trials in Turkey, where Ottoman officials were tried and found guilty of exterminating the Armenian people. The Armenians' agony is prolonged. It is sustained on account of the truculent resistance of Turkish denials of the crime and the victims. But the atrocities have been meticulously documented, as you heard, in eyewitness accounts of official reports, photographic evidence, diplomacy statements, testimony of survivors. And throughout the centuries, many thousands of Armenians were forced to convert to Islam, even as tens of thousands of Jews were forcibly converted to Christianity.
And that was Rabbi Kenneth Siegel. He was speaking at a forum, a town hall meeting at the Soroyan Theater on March the 18th concerning the genocide. He was one of many speakers. Rabbi Kenneth Siegel acknowledging that the genocide took place and comparing it to the Holocaust, but certainly the first genocide of the 20th century. John Chukazian is here. You're a former guest. You've been here before, and your family. I mean, you are here to talk about specifically. I want to hold this picture up. So take this shot of me here. I want to show this as close as I can. This is a picture of your father, John.
Yes.
What's his name? What was his name?
His name is Manasseh Chukazian, and he was born in Sepastya, historic Armenia, which is now present-day Sivas, which is 200 miles south of the Black Sea, the area of Sepastya, present-day Sivas.
All right. Now you're here to talk about the fact that your father, along with many other your family members, were basically slaughtered during the genocide. Tell us a story about what happened.
Well, let me just start saying my father was born in Sivas in 1896. And as a rule, like many nationalities, after you go to church, you usually congregate with your friends and family for lunch or conversation or coffee or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
During 1915, the family had just come home from church, and there were 28 of them, and they were sitting around talking about whatever the conversation was, and all of a sudden, in Sepastya or Sivas, a lot of the homes have these large, tall windows where it's different than the typical window that goes up and down that we know. And all of a sudden, while they're having conversation and lunch, the brigand Kurds and the Turkish soldiers break the windows and start coming into the house with swords and axes and begin killing the 28 members of my father's family. He sees his whole family being executed in front of him, and he faints. When he wakes up and he's in a daze, his father is laying across him, and he had bled to death from being murdered. And the reason that they didn't kill my father, because they thought that they had killed him because he was covered entirely with his father's blood. And he looks around and he sees body parts of all different types of people that were in our house that were our relatives. And this is a tragedy, and this is something that has happened probably over and over and over, probably hundreds of thousands of times in the different villages throughout Turkey. And I'm here to more or less represent my father's past and tragedy.
All right, let's roll the videotape. It is graphic. We're going to show some of the genocide footage, 1915 through 1919. This is the 100th anniversary. And John, certainly our condolences go out to you and your family. I mean, a horrible story. What year was that?
1915.
It took place in 1915, because as we know, the genocide was 4 years in running here.
Actually, it went to 1923.
Okay.
The genocide ran 8 years.
And there were others besides the Armenians who were slaughtered during that time period. They were the
Greeks of Turkey, and there were the Assyrians of Turkey with an A, not Syrians, but Assyrians. And the Greeks and the Armenians are Christian Orthodox people. The whole idea of Turkey was to rid its Christian population so it would be completely a Muslim country.
And you know, some people say, well, why do you have to run these pictures? Why do you have to run this video? So you know what? It's a reminder to people as to how horrible these acts were how horrible the genocide was so it doesn't ever happen again, although it's happening now in certain parts of the world.
And let's differentiate. There are peace-loving Muslims. We're not talking about them. We're talking about the radical Muslims. And 100 years have gone by, and their thinking has not changed. With ISIL and ISIS, they're still decapitating their captors. They're still murdering their captors. So the mentality of this radical Muslim group has not changed.
So as Sergio Laporta said here earlier on this program, the reason Turkey doesn't want to recognize the genocide, is it because it will send them back into time? They'll have to admit that we've lied all this time.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Is that the main reason?
That's one of the reasons, and it's economic too, because the Armenians are asking for reparations of their property. Their bank accounts were seized, and they lost everything. They were literally kicked out of their own country, and they couldn't take their bank accounts. They couldn't collect on anything. They were literally driven out and exiled.
Right. And so I do want to mention that John Chukazian is here, and his family suffered some horrible tragedies during the Armenian genocide. This is the 100th anniversary, and you have a letter here from City Hall.
Yes.
And this says you've been selected to receive a 2015 Mayoral Historic Preservation Award in the category Traditional Cultural Artists. What does that mean?
Well, that means that I'm the director of the Chukazian Armenian Concert Ensemble, and for the past 35 years we've been trying to bring Armenian music and culture to this community and across the United States, and of course we went to Armenia. So our main goal has been always to more or less introduce traditional Armenian music and culture, and all of the members are conservatory graduate musicians from Armenia, and we've had many, many successes. We've got the gold medal from the President of Armenia. We played at the highest forum in the United States, which is the Kennedy Center, and we got a Grammy in 2010, first time Armenian music has ever received a Grammy. So we have accomplished many, many things that is a credit to our country and a credit to our Armenian people and to other ethnic groups.
You have children?
No, I don't.
No children?
Yes.
Okay, but if you did, would you tell the horrific story of what happened to your
Absolutely.
family, to your
I think that's the duty of every parent, no matter what your nationality is, that if something horrific has happened in your history, that you communicate it to your children and to your neighbors.
Is that? How important?
I think it's one of the most important aspects of growing up, and I think that's one of the most important aspects of a family, father and mother and grandmother and grandfather and family members, to impart that knowledge to their children and to their grandchildren.
In spite of the horrific nature
Absolutely.
of the
I think,
act.
just like Eileen said earlier, there's at each age level, you need to know how to address your children and the subject matter. But once they become teenagers, you need to be very graphic and explain that this is what happened to your relatives a long time ago, 100 years ago. You can't hold anything back because there's no reason to. I mean, this was a horrific event that happened to all the Christians within Turkey during 1915 to 1923. And my mother was exiled too. She had to go through the Syrian desert, and it's a wonder that she
ended
survived.
up in an orphanage, right?
And she ended up in an orphanage, and she was bought by an Arab as a servant for 7 years. And then next time I come, I'll tell you her story.
All right, John. We got to wrap it up because we have another guest to come on, but I appreciate you coming on and showing, sharing that story about your father and your family, and I appreciate it.
Thank you very, very much, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
And I thank this station for being a host to all of the people that are coming here that are talking about the Armenian genocide of 1915.
And in honor of your father, I want to go to break and show the picture one more time. This is John Chukazian's father.
That's when I say Chukazian.
Yeah, all right. We're going to take a break here on Connect with Me. Back in just a moment.
We need help to find this missing child. Patrick Alford was 8 when he went missing. He was last seen in Brooklyn, New York in January of 2010. This is what we believe he looks like today at age 12. If you have any information, please call the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-THE-LOST. That's 1-800-843-5678. Please help bring Patrick Alford home.
We get our speed from Mom and Dad. They do stuff super fast. And now they got this new kitchen, so they're even faster. So they can help us with our free throws.
The time-saving Frigidaire Gallery line with a quick preheat and smudge-proof stainless steel that resists fingerprints and cleans easily. It's mealtime in no time, from start to clean. Frigidaire Gallery.
Save more during Frigidaire Gallery bonus days when you buy 3 or more qualifying appliances. See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
watch Dr. TV on over-the-air channel 13.9.
Hello, I'm John Walsh. We need your help to capture this fugitive. James Bell is an alleged child predator. Bell's wanted for molesting 3 girls ages 9 through 13 while working at a local YMCA in 2003. He was arrested, then fled. Bell has worked as a gymnastics instructor, coach, and a computer repairman. Bell could be anywhere along the West Coast. If you know where he is, call 617-742-5533.
You can find movies on over-the-air channel 13.3. Movies. Our name says it all.
Back here on the program, connect with me on MeTV Fresno on this 100th anniversary, of course, of the Armenian Genocide, and a special program today. And thanks to all of our guests today. And next sitting in the chair here is Maher Chekerdemian, a former principal. Now, you were a principal at a few different schools, right?
Sequoia, Tehipity, and Awani.
Oh, boy. Now, are you retired now?
A long time ago.
A long time ago. Okay, we're talking about the genocide today. Were you at the unveiling last night?
Yes.
You were. And what did you think of the unveiling of the monument? What did it mean to you as an Armenian?
Well, it was a very historical moment for us in a few respects. One is that we don't have anything like that in the United States, or at least in the Western United States. And second, for this community, which was probably one of the centers that a lot of the survivors came, this is so appropriate to have it here. And it's a very nice work of art, and I'm very proud to be part of it. I'm also in the committee, and Eileen and I did the education part together.
Yes. Now I want to ask you, there was a forum that took place on March the 18th, several speakers on hand, including Taner Akçam, and he is a professor and author of Turkish descent. You wanted to speak about him just briefly. What do you want to say?
Well, he's a Turkish intellectual, and he wrote his first book, which was questioning what happened at the genocide. Mm-hmm. And already they took that and they expelled him out of the country.
Out of Turkey?
Out of Turkey.
Okay.
And then he started getting all kinds of death threats. Then he ended up in Europe. He lived there for a little bit, and then he came to the United States. And he's a professor at the University of Minnesota. And then I just had his last book. I just bought his last book. And that is something that I think any Armenian or anyone that's interested in genocide should look at that. It's called A Shameful Act. Mm-hmm. And we were talking a little earlier with your other guests about some of the reasons. He has a very well documented and well researched book on the issue. And one of the things which is that I'd like to make is that we talk about Armenians were in Turkey. But you know, Armenians came to Asia Minor from northeastern Europe in 1235 BC, before Christ. And Turks didn't come to the Asia Minor area as Seljuk Turks until about 1,000 years after Christ. So Armenians were in their lands for 2,300 years before Turks showed up in that place. That's one. The second thing is that Armenians did not rebel against them at the time that they're talking about. They were regular citizens.
Right.
And Taner Akçam is saying that one of the reasons is when they changed the Turkish language letters from Arabic characters to English characters, they kind of, that was in 1928. And they cleaned a whole bunch of their history books from everything that they didn't want to be included.
We have another piece of videotape of the genocide, and I'm gonna keep running these images and these photos, because as graphic as they are, people need to see them so they know exactly what happened. It's like the Holocaust, the Jewish Holocaust during World War II. And so when you see these images, and some of these pictures here, horrific. And what goes through your mind as an Armenian?
Well, you know, like John, my father was born in 1899, and he was also right in it from the beginning. I have lost my paternal grandparents, my own grandfather, grandmother, 3 uncles, 2 aunts, and then on my mother's side, my grandfather and a couple of aunts. And then my
They were all killed.
Oh, yes, massacred right there. In fact, my grandfather was killed and right in front of my grandmother. And then my father-in-law, who was a parish priest here, he was saved as an orphan.
Yeah.
And then he ended up in Jerusalem orphanage. Then my uncle who was here, who brought me to the United States, he was one who was saved. He was 12 years old during the genocide. And he marched through the snows because his parents chased him out of the city because they knew evil was coming. And he walked for 10 miles to another city. And on the way, he lied in a whole mass grave because the March soldiers came by, so they thought he was dead. And they let him, so they passed, and then he got up and he went to orphanage in the next city, and he ended up here in the United States. So those are all things that are, you know, first generation information. And Taner Aksham is saying there's all kinds of, in spite of the change and the filtering of all the information in the history, because when they changed the language to the English letters, they completely redid their whole books, and they left everything that they didn't want out.
Yeah.
And he says today, if a Turkish youngster wants to learn about Turkish history, they can't go past 1928 because they don't have anything from there. Most of it is just information that that day's government wanted to put in their books. And he says there's enough documents in the books and from military reports that there's no question about the fact that this was an organized and executed program of genocide by the government of Turkey of that day.
Right. Okay. And obviously, we talked to Eileen Ohanian about the curriculum that's being instituted all throughout the state of California, and obviously, you know, you're in favor of that. And you know, how long will it take to be implemented throughout the entire state?
Well, the first thing I just want to mention that when we went to the school districts and we talked about them, our intention was, Eileen and I kind of really expanded on the fact that we want the kids to know about genocide, man's inhumanity to man, and then learn the Armenian genocide because it was the first one. And if they could do interdisciplinary, that way the kids will know more than just a GUI story, let's say.
How long will it take, though, for the whole state?
Oh, that's a good question. Depends in each community what they're doing.
Yeah.
In our community, we started our central committee here in the Central Fresno, kind of pushed it early. We had this education committee, and we went on. So.
All right. We're out of time. We got to go, but I thank you very much for sharing some of your stories of the Armenian genocide.
Thank you.
Maher Chekerdemian, a former principal, a former educator. Stay right there. We're still on the air. So we're going to be back Monday with a couple of guests. George Hostetter and Doug Vagum will be here. But I want to remind you that over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, Ventura Broadcasting TV 31.7 will be showing 3 programs regarding the Armenian genocide, hosted by Mark Sheeran. One of them will be the canonization of the Armenian saints. Every victim of the genocide basically canonized as a saint. Then the second program will be the ceremony that actually took place in the country of Armenia. You'll see that in its entirety. And the third program obviously dealing with the genocide itself. That would be Ventura Broadcasting Television Station 31.7 over-the-air digital antenna. See you back here Monday. Have a great weekend. Dennis Hart, George Hostetter, and Doug Vagum will be here. Have a great weekend. Stay.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the save energy, save time, save money place. The Energy Star qualified #1 rated high-efficiency Cabrio from Whirlpool Place. You heard right. Right now, save big on select Whirlpool Cabrio laundry pairs and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months. At the hometown low price, think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place.